Welcome back to another SuperCoach video with me, JD. You're joining me for the round 10 review. We're about to hit refresh on this old bad boy here now. Apologies in advance those that watched my mid-round review, which is worth checking out still if you haven't already, because I do go through games on Friday and Saturday. But they'll know that I'm on the road this week, racking up the frequent flyer miles for work, which means we're in a different setting, trying out different recording equipment. Hopefully this all works okay, and the audio and the video quality isn't too scuffed, but you know, I'm not working with great tools at the moment, so we'll just see what we can do, and if it doesn't work, we'll iterate on it for next time. But looking at my week, I scored a 25.72, which was top 5,000 score for the week. Put me up another 30 points to 136 overall, which is nice. It definitely looked like, and if you watch mid-round review, you'd know this, it looked like I was going backwards this week, pretty not like massively, maybe 100 ranks or something like that. So to actually end up positive 30 ranks is really like pleasing to see, and we'll go through why that is. Let's just see how the website goes here in terms of loading. It's going to be slow. I think the Surface Pro I'm working off in combination with it just being opened is going to be pretty brutal. I lost 7 out of 10 leagues with a 2,500, which is pretty crazy. There's some absolutely insane scores that have been popped out this week. So all right, including where we wanted to start, which is overall ranks. So big shout out to Locke, who my fellow Jelly Bro, the hit traded him out and never brought him back in, but he's now taken #1 overall, which is really good to see. And then having a quick look for Guigo, should be into the top 20. He is 20th, so we've got a couple of guys up there competing for the overall win. And looking at just Locke's cash team value, well and truly above a lot of these other guys here. Wow, like a lot. And then all the way up until Guigo, who then has higher by 200k. So he should come home strong. This is really strong positioning as long as their buys are going well. And it feels a little bit risky to check the leagues with what's going on. But yeah, I mean, this looks like still the top 14 leagues, which is pretty good. We'll take that. Definitely take that. Okay, so then cracking into the team. So it looked like it was going to go pretty poorly on, like as of Saturday night, and that was with, you know, Ashcroft, Humphrey, Atkins, all going big and not having any of them. That really was quite a bad position to be in. We've been quite aggressive with upgrading some of these guys and avoiding some of the more expensive ones, and that definitely backfired a little bit this week, as those that had held on to them a little bit longer were rewarded with good scores. I mean, we did see some of the other more expensive options like Simpson have a down week as well, but like overall, like pretty like there are a lot of scores on the back of having these really good rookies. But on Saturday we had a couple of saviors come through, and wow, this is just really shocking to try and maneuver on the smaller screen. So Josh Weddle is the one to call out here. 114 looked really good. He kicked 2 goals in the first quarter of that Hawks beat up of West Coast, and was very strong throughout the rest of it as well. So I think he was on about 50 at quarter time and still did a 64 from then, which is a great score. You know, any other week that's still at 80 plus, and of course it's against the worst side in the league at the moment, but look, take when you get them. And then his buddy Seamus Mitchell scored an 82 as well, which is really positive to get both of those scores on field, especially after Ryan only doing the 58, not having Ashcroft, Humphrey, Atkins, who all went into the hundreds as well. The downside of that game was, of course, Will Day, who scored just the 74. He was tagged pretty heavily, so given that circumstance, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, not ideal by any means. What else happened today? So we had the Saints play against GWS, which is the last game. So looking at my GWS mids here, about a 110 average across the 3, which we'll take every week. That's fine. Sinclair, the 160. Steele had a big week, which was really surprising given that he had the medial concerns. But given it was a close game, like neither he or Marshall could sit. They both had to play at the full game. They both scored pretty well, which is maybe unsurprising. But yeah, like the premiums today still kind of hurt a little bit, because even though I got Sinclair's 160, which is good, you know, missed out on Butters, which I already talked about, and you know, Petrarca, Kelly, who are my kind of like unique mids, just the low hundreds, and that doesn't really compare to someone like a Sarong. Butters, some of these other ones as well, but at least I avoided, you know, Anderson, which is probably like one of the real downers this week. So other big news from, well, actually, is there any other players worth talking about? I mean, the GW guys were okay. Yeah, that game was fine. Dacos was just okay, didn't get tagged, but Carlton slacked up the ball a bit. Doherty was really good again, and kind of like proves what we talked about earlier in the year, which I think like holding him was right. I didn't think he was a fake primo, but yeah, obviously got injured, so we had to trade him out, and he's come back and shown what he can do, which is really nice. Walsh, I think, had a poorer game, which is a little bit of relief for non-owners. And I believe that he had near 100% mid-time in that game. So I wonder if it does put his DPP status in risk a little bit. It seems like with Hewitt being dropped, they actually put him more in the midfield rather than the forward line. And that affected his mix. Holland's getting subbed out in the game was a really weird one, to be honest. I can't believe they did it in back-to-back games, and they did it at the half as well. Like, it just seems like such a weird move to do. But yeah, it is what it is. All right, and then the other really big news from today is, of course, Oliver. So for those that haven't heard, the strain of his hamstring seems potentially somewhat serious, and he could miss for up to a month. Now, they're still waiting for an official call on that tomorrow night. It could be a bunch of smoke and there not be much wrong with it whatsoever, but yeah, we've heard that it could be up to a month. And that's a really interesting situation of like what you do, whether it's 1 week through to 4 weeks, because normally, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, it would be an instant trade. But we are going through that period of the buys now, where it's just best 18. So you can cover some of these players in weeks where you've got good buys. So next week, for example, of course, it's still the best 22, and you'd be putting 700k on the bench, which is not good, or 650k on the bench, which isn't good. But if you've got a good rookie score early, which I think is going to be tricky because Melbourne play somewhat early, so really, this second game here with Saints and Hawks isn't going to be played in time, so you'd have to have a rookie from Swans or Carlton on your bench, and if they got a good score, then you could bench Oliver, take their score, and hold him. But then the week after that, we've got the first bye round, which is the round 12 bye, and most teams are sitting pretty for that one. So if I look at round 12 bye here, this is going to do my head in scrolling up or down. So I've got 5 here playing in back, and then I've got 7 more here, so that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or only 18. So I mean, I'm struggling actually a little bit. I guess some of these dead rookies aren't helping, like Cowan and Cincotta both being useless. Although it's likely to make a trade for like Ford or Wardlaw in the next couple of weeks, which pull it up. But I mean, yeah, assuming that like I fix some of these up, then you can sit Oliver. The week after that is round 13. Everyone's got enough. And then the week after that, round 14, is his bye anyway. So you weren't going to have him playing. And then round 15, you presume he's back after his bye. That will have been 4 weeks worth of games, a month. And then he comes back and you're going to need him here anyway because this is the really terrible bye. So I think one option here is actually to hold Oliver, even if they say he's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks. I think that's potentially a hold. The other option here with Oliver is... depending on what it enables, you could potentially do a couple of, premium trades here. So, and this is going to be so slow for me. If you've got boosts, there's more options open, but I'll just play around here. So I've got Ryan Oliver at 150k in the bank. And I didn't even check Ryan's break even, but I assume it's getting up there. So... look, it looks like it's now time to bring in Rory Laird, and he did not go up in price as much as I thought he was going. I thought he was going to be close to 600. I wonder if the magic numbers moved a bit, because I thought Ryan would be a little bit higher. I thought Laird would be higher. Interesting. And then I've got 570k after moving Laird in. So, I don't know if I want this to be... I probably don't want it to be a forward because I want to get Walsh at some point. But yeah, maybe I could look at a mid at this range. Unfortunately, it locks me out of someone like Sarong. And the issue is looking at options like Brayshaw. I can't even afford Brayshaw, but Steele or Warner. They've got 1 more week and then they're on bye anyway. So I'm not really sure I should be going these guys. And then the round 15 bye, the round 14 bye, I don't think I'm in a good spot for. And round 15, I can't. I just can't trade anyone in. So what would I even do with this trade? Neil and Brayshaw are probably the 2. Oh, and Steele are probably the 3 I could afford, but they were all on bye next week. So going any of these options doesn't seem good. If you don't have Merritt, you need to have more money, but Merritt's obviously the other strong trading option this week other than Laird. Tricky. All right, so we'll see. So given that I can't actually facilitate a trade doing this, this kind of makes me want to leave Oliver in my team as long as I can still find a way to get Laird, which is going to be tricky, by the way, because like looking at my rookies, right, after I trade out Ryan, I've got no one else left that's ready to go. Weddle and Mitchell have still got lots of money to make. Sincotta obviously didn't play, which is a big issue. Because his cash gen stopped and I don't know when he's getting back in the side. He didn't play in the 2, so he was kind of like the holdout if they had a late in, which suggests he's close. And like, Boyd didn't play well, but I don't think they had any injuries. Sorry. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting because I want to get Ryan. Let's just... I want to get Ryan to Laird. I think the only way I can do it is doing something like this, which is pretty crazy. Where's... just because it does bring in another buy player in the last round, even though I get out 2, I guess. Come on. Why is this not filtering properly? It's because I didn't trade out a midfielder. Duh. Oh my god, this is like killing me with how slow this is. Hello? SuperCoach, please. Cogs? No, let's try again. So if this works, what I'm going to show you is probably like the only rookie that's on the bubble this week, which is Fleeton. But I'll have a look, and I guess we'll talk about Fleeton a little bit. So he is like a medium-ish defender for GWS who's had really good numbers in the 2s this year. Hasn't really been able to replicate it in the 1s, and I guess it's because they aren't using him to like go through for play or anything like that. Now, his job security already seemed to be okay with coming out, and Fleeton doing some of the good defensive stuff. Like, I think he led intercept possessions for them this game, even though it didn't translate to scoring. So I think his job security might be somewhat okay, at least until Cumming comes back. And that was further solidified by Haynes getting ruled out with concussion, and I think, yeah, Himmelberg got injured as well, I want to say. So let's have a go here. So Fleeton is one you could look at this week. I just like, you know, post buy, what does that job security look like? Not really sure. Although at that point you probably don't need him anymore. But also his scoring isn't particularly good. So get Laird. Where are you, bud? Because I think getting in Laird this week, I mean, he does seem to be bottomed out in price. He's playing well. They do have the tough matchup in Brisbane this week, and I will need to check his break even. Because it might be getting to the point where, like, do I start to wait on some of these guys? No, 99. I mean, he should get that against the Lions. And then Gold Coast, West Coast. I mean, you're going to want him for West Coast. He's got 3 more games until he's bye still. So, yeah, so I think I could do something like this. The other option here is, and what I would have loved to have done if I had a rookie that was, you know, up in money, is consider going early on Wardlaw. I mean, it's only showing players I can afford, right? And also defenders, so he's not going to be in there. All right, it's working now. So he did the 85. I guess the things to be careful with here is he's had low time on ground still, so he's really only playing like 3/4 worth of footy at the moment, which is a bit of a concern. And then secondly, they've played a competitive game against the Swans, and you know they're going to get thumped by teams like North. And look, they have Essendon the week after, which they could score better on, but I think that's a bit of a risk. And the other one is Eddie Ford, who is a forward. I'm moving the team around left, right, and centre at the moment. So 123k forward. He played. That was his first game, and he scored a 102, which is obviously an even better score than Wardlaw's. He's mature age as well, I want to say, old Eddie Ford is. But yeah, like I think we learnt the Drury lesson, right? Like small forwards in North probably can't be relied on, and I probably wouldn't be going early on them. So really, I think it probably comes down to like someone like Fleeton. The other thing I guess that could be mentioned is like Fahey is one I think we've mentioned a number of times, but he could be debuting this week. I think he had another 40 touch game on the weekend. So look, he's not by any means of like by any stretch like someone like he could reasonably play. All right, so maybe I do this and hold Oliver even if he's out, which is a pretty tricky position to be in because I don't really want to field someone like Sharp. Or someone like that, but I guess I'll be like, you know, Mitchell and Weddle are kind of like my last two rookies on after doing this. And I think I just have to see if I can loop them. Unfortunately, my loops in Roberts and Cowan play that first game, so I actually don't know if I can. Or maybe I can use Constable, but I can't get Cowan out of defense. That's rough. I'll have to have a look at this after. Okay, so I think that's my team, which I've kind of waffled on for a little bit. In terms of like for other people, so top trade targets this week, I think for that middle buy, like Merritt and Laird both make sense as trade-in targets if you don't have them. In terms of Oliver, should you trade or should you keep? Look at your buys and figure out, can you carry him through them to his buy or not? I have a feeling most people actually probably can, as long as they get a good rookie score this week. And it does save you then the hassle of trying to trade him back in at the end of it. But if you can do something this week where you trade out Oliver and get like two rookies, you know, maybe you boost with Oliver out and you get two rookies up to premiums. Like, you know, you go Oliver out and you get Merritt and Laird in, for example. I think like that's a pretty good move, as long as you got the trades to then figure out how you get Oliver back in at some point as well. For rookies, it's really fleeting this week. People will be asking, can I get Weddle? Can I get Mitchell? Can I get Humphrey? And I'm scared to check Humphrey's price. But I think we've probably missed the boat on all of these guys already. Like, oh man, he went up 72k. That's nuts. Negative 54 break even. Oh my god. This is like the biggest possible punish I could have seen from avoiding Humphrey, by the way. I mean, I guess like this Weddle price is probably the same for like those that went Atkins over him as well. Like the biggest possible punish. It's kind of crazy. I also got the biggest possible punish for going early on Ashcroft. Like these things just generally don't happen where they drop like 3 tons on you in like 5 weeks. But anyway, I know, very good player on a good side and all that, but still, like that's pretty wild. Yeah, so I mean, I think even though his break even's obviously super low, you're paying 285 for him, and you need to get him through to round 15. So he's got to play 4 more games. Like, yeah, I think this is probably right. He gets to about 350 from here, like 60s, and these are teams. The next 3 teams he should take up points. Although I would have said that about Brisbane, so for him to ton on that was like pretty impressive. But yeah, I just think like you're not going to see enough money, and the scoring is probably good, but for his price, I don't know, maybe not worth it. But if you could get him and still get like good premiums done elsewhere, you're flushing money, then it's probably okay. But yeah, I think you just missed the boat. Wow, yeah. Okay, I'm probably leaning towards Fleeting because even though he's just doing just the 45s, I think his job security is all right, and that's really what I need. Like, I need him to play the next few bye rounds. I need him to play 12 because it gets me to 6 on field here. I need him to play 14 in particular as well. I kind of want him to hold through to here so I get an extra 1 on field, because at the moment I've got what, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe one of these is playing Johnson or Sharp. 9, 10, 11, 16. So I'm going to need to get 2 more in for at least round 14, at least 2 more in, and then for 15, oh man, this is going to be scary. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe 2 of these 5 is playing, so maybe it's 15. That's only 3 more. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. And the reason why it's so bad is I've got 13 trades left. I still got 2 upgrades to make, even though I've got no cash. And I've got to get, like 5 of those trades are committed basically just to managing to get to 18. It's not even get to 19, which is really what you want to be aiming for. 19 or 20 is just to get to 18. Buy rounds are not going to be good for me. I'm going to be real. Those that have like Humphrey, Atkins, those types are going to be, I mean, even Simpson, but I mean, Simpson's probably someone you can trade out as well. Let's check that break even. 59. I mean, yeah, there's a chance he gets dropped, to be honest. You could hold him for another week. He'd been doing 59s up until this point, so GWS is easy to score on. I think he probably bounces back. But I think many are probably going to be in the same boat where they actually need to access the money. What else didn't I cover from today? Oh, I guess like Carlton guys. Apparently there's there was talk that Cripps was getting injections. So I mean, I think I've been saying for a little while when people have been asking about Cripps as a pod to avoid. I think that's panned out. I think I've also been saying to avoid Sard as a pod, and I think that also panned out as well. I haven't even checked his price, but I assume he did not score well. I did not see much of it in this game. Yeah. Oh, he scored 64. Someone said they can't wait to whoop him right out of their team, which is pretty funny. Oh, that was a good call. Okay, and then like final things been to cover. We took a little bit of buys, a little bit of who to trade in, who to trade out, a little bit of Humphrey talk, a little bit of Ashcroft salt. All the classics hitting the high notes. Vice captain this week. What are we going to be looking at, boys and girls? And I'd say this is a really tough week. So like, you know, with Oliver likely to miss, that's one of your safe options. And then Bont picked up some knee knock, and they insist that he's fine. But that's, you know, one of the other safe options that you normally go to. And these both seem out the window. So then we go from, okay, well, if my two premium mids are kind of gone, can I look to my rucks for some relief? And Marshall's got Hawks, who have been pretty restrictive, although it looks like Reeves might be out with some syndesmosis. So if it's just Meek rucking solo, Marshall might actually be an option this week. For those that have Steele, I guess you could look that way as well. Or maybe even Sinclair in this matchup might be okay. We've seen the kind of duality of him over the last 2 weeks, so like 60 to 160, which is not bad for vice captain. But yeah, and then English has got Wit, so I probably like wouldn't go there. We can have a quick look at that history though, just to see if it shocks me to the upside. Oh, it doesn't. That is not good history. There's not even a ton in there. And this, oh man, on the small screen, this is just shocking. Sorry for those that have to watch along to this. So yeah, so if those are out the window, what do we look at? I mean, even though Blues have been bad, I don't think we could slam Goulden into that. Taranto, like against Port, is no good. Port's been too strong. I guess you could maybe look at Butters against Richmond, but it still feels like more of a captain option. Sorry, vice captain than a captain option, which is a bit of a problem with it being late. I think same issue I have with Dacos. Feels like more of a vice captain play than a captain play, but they play late, and that would be like go as well with like Zeeble or Sheasel. These are like your high variance players that you want early if you're going to vice captain them. And then Laird, I guess I'd be a little bit worried against Brisbane Lions. I think he's got okay track record against them, if memory serves. 142, 129 last two, and then 86 in 2020. So, look, the track record's not too bad, but I'm going to tag him. I don't think they'd tag him anyway. Like, if you're going to tag someone in that crow side, I think it's Dawson. But it still doesn't get me any closer to who I'm going vice captain captain, because I really don't want it to be Laird, even though I'm trading him in this week. You'd obviously trade in someone you expect to score well. Cats have been pretty good against mids, although with Danger out, they have been much more vulnerable these last couple of weeks. So could you look at someone like a Tom Green that they don't really have a matchup for? That'd be an interesting vice captain. I think for me as well, Petrarca, if Oliver's out against Freo, is kind of interesting as an option. But maybe it's Marshall if Meek is out. Into, I don't know. Merritt against West Coast is the other one you could look at. I'm pretty dubious though about this because you've got O'Neill, who's been tagging the last couple of weeks, and you know Gimby's done roles as well. So they might send someone to Merritt, and once again he feels like a vice captain option, not a captain option this week. And I think that's the hard part. If you don't nail your vice, there's a lot of uncertainty around captains this week. I mean, I could just go something like the Ruck duo, even though I don't love these matchups. But no, and I probably don't want to put it on. No, this is so tough. And if I vice captain Marshall, I can't vice captain Petrarca, which might be the play if Clary's out. Maybe I just trust Bont against Gold Coast. Even with the knee knock, we'll just monitor the news. All right, I think that is everything for this week. I'm hoping that when I stop recording on this, I can actually edit and upload it and nothing breaks. If you've persisted through this video, thank you very much as always. If you've got questions about players or your team or anything else, philosophy, whatever it is, hit me up below. I try and answer them all the best I can during the week. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.